Things are starting to feel a little more normal around campus, especially with the return of the tech sports schedule. Coming up, we'll show you how the athletics department got fans ready for the kickoff of the fall season.
COVID-19 has left a lot of people in need across our world, and some members of the tech students population are no different. Find out how one campus department is helping to make sure no Red Raider goes hungry. Next.
And the Texas Tech football's 2020 season is officially underway after a nail-biting start at the Jones over the weekend. MCTV's Ryan Heller will be in the studio with a look at the story and more in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Krizia Williams.
And I'm Angelina Galvan. Today marks the beginning of the 4th week of classes at Texas Tech, and that also means the university is almost a full month into in-person classes during the COVID-19 pandemic. Even though the number of coronavirus infections continues to grow here on campus, the number of positive cases appears to be slowing down. On Friday, TTU officials reported a total of 27 new active cases, with 20 of those coming from the student population and 7 from the university's employees. Friday's announcement included 15 less infections than the previous count on Thursday. When 35 new active cases were reported, 144 total new recoveries were also reported on Friday, bringing the university's total active cases down to 426. For the week, Tech officials announced 343 students and 31 employees tested positive for a total of 374 new active cases of COVID-19. As a reminder, free on-campus testing continues this week for all students, faculty, and staff here on campus. As of Saturday, the testing site has returned to Urbanovsky Park, and anyone interested can stop by to be tested between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. For more information on the free walk-up clinic, visit ttu.edu/commitment/testing.
On Saturday, Texas Tech athletics officially returned to competition as the Red Raider football team took on Houston Baptist at Jones Stadium. But before the fall schedule began, athletic officials held a special virtual event to get fans fired up for the new season. Starting at 6:30 p.m. last Thursday, the 2020 virtual kickoff was streamed live on Facebook, Twitter, and Texas Tech TV. The hour-long event was hosted by Senior Associate Athletics Director Robert Giovanetti and featured interviews with Athletics Director Kirby Hokud, head football coach Matt Wells, and several members of the Red Raider football team. Along with the interviews, Thursday's broadcast also included 2 musical performances by former Red Raiders Pat Green and Corey Morrow. The virtual kickoff event finished out with a preview of the 2020 Tech football team in anticipation of Saturday's season opener. Coming up later in sports, Ryan Heller will have a look back at the score and highlights from Saturday's matchup against the Houston Baptist Huskies.
The COVID-19 pandemic has caused financial hardships for people across the nation, including right here on the Tech campus. And if you are a student in need, one campus department wants to remind you that they are here to help. Raider Red's Food Pantry is an on-campus food bank available for all students here on the Tech campus. The food pantry has been in operation for several years with the goal of providing short-term access to supplemental food. Raider Red's Food Pantry is located on the first floor of Doak Hall in room 117. Students interested in getting supplies from the pantry are required to have a student ID with them and stop by during the food bank's operation hours. Raider Red's Food Pantry will be open the rest of this week at the following times: tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m., Thursday from 2 to 4:30 p.m., and Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. and 1 to 4:30 p.m. The food pantry is currently practicing social distancing guidelines, and students are asked to look out for the safety signage and follow the guidelines when using the pantry. For more information on the Tech on-campus food bank, including updated hours of operation, visit foodpantry.ttu.edu.
After nearly a week of below normal temperatures, the South Plains area returned to seasonal conditions over the weekend. In fact, Saturday featured a near picture-perfect day of warm temperatures, sunshine, and gentle winds to kick off Tech's football's home opener. So, can we expect more of the same as we approach the first official day of fall? MCTV's Madison Hartin joins us in the studio with the latest look at the forecast. Madison?
Well, thanks, Krizia. You know, picture perfect really was the best way to describe the weather over the weekend. Winds were mild, it was sunny outside, temperatures didn't get too cold, but they also didn't get sweltering hot outside, so picture perfect was a good way to describe the weekend. And that weather has only continued into today. We can see out there on our MCTV tower cam that we have a few clouds dotting the horizon, but for the most part, the skies have been big and blue and beautiful today with some pretty mild temperatures out there, especially after that September cold snap. For today, the high temperature climbed up to 80 degrees, mostly cloudy conditions, but it is still warm outside, and a light wind coming from the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. For this evening, we are going to be seeing a slight drop in temperatures as the low gets down to 57 degrees, still partly cloudy but mild conditions, and an east by southeasterly wind coming at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Now, looking at the South Plains as a whole, we can see that there isn't going to be much of any change in temperatures over the next couple of days. No major fronts are going to be moving through the area. We can see that the South Plains is going to be experiencing some nice sunny conditions, especially after the cold and cloudiness that we experienced over the last few days. But looking into later on, we are going to be seeing a little bit cooler temperatures, especially out there by Friona. It is going to be just the slightest bit colder out there off the Cap Rock, but for the most part, everywhere is pretty uniform temperatures in the 80s and going low down to the 50s. Now, we can see that for Tuesday, we're going to have a little bit higher temperatures than we did today with a high of 85 degrees, low of 58, and that wind continuing from the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, sunny conditions. And the sunny conditions are going to keep into Wednesday with a high of 89 and a low of 60, so we might actually break 90 again for Wednesday, coming from the south by southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for Thursday, we have a high of 81 degrees, low of 57, and an easterly wind coming at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So a little bit more breezy for Thursday, especially compared to the rest of this week. But for the most part, weather here has been pretty mild here on the South Plains for September. And it looks like that's going to be continuing out through the rest of the week. But it's always West Texas weather, so things could change. I'm Madison Hartin for MCTV Weather. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Madison. As we mentioned several times during the show, the Texas Tech football team was in action this weekend. Kicking off their fall season at Jones AT&T Stadium, Saturday's contest was also the first official Tech sporting event since the Red Raider baseball team finished a midweek series back in March. So could the football team get things started off with a victory? MCTV's Ryan Heller joins us now with all the details in sports. Ryan?
Thanks, Angelina. Yes, Texas Tech football avoided an embarrassing defeat on Saturday as they beat the Houston Baptist Huskies 35-33. The Red Raiders started off the game with an opening drive touchdown from Alan Bowman to Eric Ezukama. They went into the second quarter with a 21-10 lead, but the Huskies refused to go away as it took stopping a two-point conversion by HBU with 6 minutes left and Alan Bowman passing for 430 yards in the game to pull away. The Red Raiders will wait another 2 weeks to play again as they will host the Texas Longhorns on Saturday, the 26th at 2:30. If you can't make it to the game, you can catch it on Fox. Sadly, that's all the Tech sports we have for now. Now, we all knew that this particular season there was going to be a roller coaster of changes, and it ain't starting off pretty either. There have been multiple teams that have had to postpone or even cancel certain games because of COVID-related situations. For instance, the game between Army and Brigham Young has been postponed due to positive COVID tests. 5 starters for Auburn are now missing practice after testing positive for COVID. The game between Virginia and Virginia Tech has also been postponed. The most recent update has been regarding University of Houston and Baylor. Baylor was supposed to face off against Louisiana Tech on the 19th, and Houston was supposed to face off against Memphis. Due to COVID concerns from Louisiana Tech and Memphis, Houston and Baylor last minute agreed to face off instead on the 19th at 11 a.m. on Fox. Now for some pro football news. The NFL officially kicked off this week, starting with the Kansas City Chiefs beating the Houston Texans 34-20, and continued yesterday with some intriguing stories, like Tom Brady's first game with the Buccaneers, Cam Newton's first game with the Patriots, DeAndre Hopkins' first game with the Cardinals, and so on. Tonight we have a Monday night doubleheader. The first game will be the Pittsburgh Steelers facing off against the New York Giants at 6:10, and the second matchup will be between the Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos at 9:20 p.m. Both games will be televised on ESPN. Now, for some playoff sports. The NBA playoffs are continuing as well. To start off, we have Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. The game will tip off at 5:30 p.m. and will be televised on ESPN. After that, we have a deciding Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets and the LA Clippers in the semifinals. That game will tip off at 8 p.m. also on ESPN. The winner of this game will face off against the LA Lakers. The NHL playoffs are also getting interesting as we are getting closer to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Dallas Stars hope to close out the series tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 5 of the conference finals. The game will be at 7 p.m. and will be on NBC Sports. The Tampa Bay Lightning hope to do the same as they take on the New York Islanders tomorrow, also at 7, and televised on NBC Sports. Well, that is all for sports. Back to you, Krizia.
Thanks, Ryan. So, Angelina, did you have a chance to watch the Red Raiders take on the Huskies over the weekend?
How could I miss it?
Right. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.